Co-management, for those of you who are probably not fishery persons here, is basically, it is about a partnership accord between different interest groups who are involved in the fishery. And basically what the goal of co-management is really to negotiate a kind of trustworthy process where the partners agree to share rights and responsibilities for stewardship of the resources. You need to have these enabling outputs before you have the major goal that you want to achieve. The first was that we created a cadre of young people. The second was that there is a fishermen organization, customary fishermen organization, which was, because of the isolation and the long history that it had, about 400 years of history, very much rooted in customary law. And the third enabling achievement was that we tried to equip a core group of fishery officers who were the second interest group in the co-management arrangement. The fourth enabling achievement was the attempt to help the province to formulate a provincial legislation in fisheries. There was a lot of initiative in rejuvenating the destroyed resources which were destroyed by the tsunami. For example, coral reefs. There was huge destruction of coral reefs. And so there was a very good initiative of training to revive coral reefs. And these youngsters who went for this training got back to their villages and implemented this. Co-management in fishery was not only about rights and regulation of the sea and all the rest of it, but also supportive activity which would contribute to the livelihoods of the communities and the families in these centers. Women were also very much involved right from the start. Also, since about 20% of the youngsters whom we trained were also women. So, you know, it was very easy to ensure participation of women because we had these motivators in the village whom we had trained. And so the emphasis on saving the resources for the future and doing things which would contribute to that was very much inbuilt into this whole thing. And there was no question of going there thinking that they didn't know and we knew everything. So building on that, strengthening that was definitely one of the foundations. After the real tsunami, you had the other tsunami of development assistance and relief, you know, which resulted in a lot of this kind of picking up individuals and providing individual packages in terms of training or whatever, I mean, houses or the rest of it. But the need to do this initially as a collective approach was something which we found as an important way to go about this. And what needs to be done? I think as a learning organization, I mean, FAO may want to examine the best practices, but also to reflect on what failed. Important thing is that often people think co-management is a tool. It's not. It's a process. So we're not talking about this as a fix. It is getting to certain fixes, but the co-management itself is a process which enables that. What about the lessons on the approach and the strategy? As I said right in the beginning, it's important to make an honest attempt to understand, you know, what exists in the community, particularly the social institutions. And it's also important to trust in the community's ability to make choices. The promoting of networking is a very important way to increase people's commitment and competence. You know, while you address individual needs, the need for a collective approach is again important.